SBN, Sports Business Now. SBN is a division of Row 27, the digital sports marketing company, celebrating 5 years of creating TV spots, intro videos, and microsites for over 150 teams. See our work at row27.com. And by FanMaker, digital marketing tools for sports teams, featuring FanMaker Rewards, the most comprehensive and popular fan loyalty and reward system. Learn more about our apps at fanmaker.com. Sports Marketing Now.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Sports Marketing Now. I'm Holly Koski, and Sports Marketing Now talks about all of the latest news in the marketing world in the sports industry. And today we have Brian Byrnes of the Oklahoma City Thunder and Sheri Barros of the San Antonio Spurs. Hey guys, how's it going? And thanks for joining us.
Hi Holly, how are you?
Good. Sorry, should have directed you who to speak first there. It's always fun with the Skype thing. Brian, I'll start with you. If you want to just kind of introduce yourself and your role with the Thunder.
Sure. Well, thanks for having us today. My name is Brian Byrnes. I'm Senior Vice President, Sales and Marketing for the Oklahoma City Thunder. We are thrilled that we're in the playoffs. This is our 5th season in Oklahoma City, and in many respects, we continue to think of ourselves as a very new and developing organization, developing a brand, still developing our identity. On the curve of a 40 or 50 year cycle, we're in year 5, and we're so cognizant of that. And yet at the same time, this team is participating in its 4th playoff series already, and so it speaks to the development and the continued maturation of our team. And from a marketing perspective, we're just doing everything we can to try to create great civic enthusiasm, great fan participation, continue to create great monetization for our sponsors, and continue to really think about what the playoffs can do for an organization in terms of continuing to build it. And we're thrilled. As I see my counterpart from San Antonio, I'm reminded that so many folks think of us as San Antonio of the North,
Right.
and it's a huge compliment. We would take that and really appreciate that. So it's nice to see Sheri with us today.
And
Thank
Sheri,
you,
I'll throw it to you on that one there.
Yeah, I mean, what a great segue. Thanks, Brian. But yeah, definitely echo a lot of what Brian said. I'm Sheri Barros. I'm the marketing manager here for the Spurs, so oversee all of our advertising and promotions for our for-profit and non-profit programs. And anytime a team is in the playoffs, we're thrilled, excited, fortunate to be in that position. And, definitely feel fortunate to be here with the Spurs. It's our 16th straight season going into the playoffs, so we definitely feel really, really blessed for that opportunity again. And we use it as well to be able to monetize a lot of our revenue drivers, which for us is ticket sales, of course, season ticket sales, and playoffs as well, and they help drive that. And then we also use it just to further a lot of our other programs. We're going into our summer camps right now and our youth programs. We have a really active community responsibility department, and they're just wrapping up a Team Up Challenge campaign. So the further we go and the longer we're in the playoffs, it definitely helps us, all around.
Well, great. And I met both of you at the National Sports Forum at the end of January. So glad you guys could get on the show with us today. So how do you market your team differently in the playoffs compared to the regular season? Brian, I'll go with you first.
Well, it's an interesting question. I think to some degree, we try not to change too many things about our business going into the playoffs. And a lot of that is born out of the idea that we want to be very consistent with what message we have to the community. We want to be very consistent with our game presentation. We want to be very consistent with just the environment that we're managing. And yet there is a lot of opportunity, and it is new, and it is incremental. And so there are some things we try to do more of. So we're very much involved with our social media campaigns today, probably more so at a higher level than we would be in the regular season. A lot of that is directed to just the timing. The playoffs are, they come and they go, and you play almost every other night. You really have to move quickly, and your sponsors are looking for very quick activation, and you have to communicate in such a rapid fashion with your ticket consumers about what time the games are and how to watch them. And So social media is something I think we're doing a lot more of. But from a branding and a campaign perspective, it's really just more of the same. We believe in the notion of team, and so the notion of team is one and rise together are things we've really built our identity around. And we're not looking to change that just because we're in the playoffs. We think the playoffs gives us an opportunity to just further accentuate the equity we've built in the identity of the organization.
Yeah, going off of what you said on social media, I've definitely noticed that you guys in your graphics team have come up with some wallpapers that you can do on your desktop or iPhone kind of backgrounds too. If we could pull that up real quickly and we can show you guys that. But that's awesome. Yeah, you can kind of see it right here. The whole unity, one team kind of play. So I like that you bring it into the mobile space as well.
Well, it's very important for us. One of the unique things about the Thunder, and Sheri may share some of this from San Antonio as well, but in our city for sure, we're the only professional sports franchise, and so we have the
Right.
opportunity to capture a large majority of this community in terms of its market share, right? In terms of getting people watching us on TV and engaging on the internet and going to
Right.
games. But for us, it's also a statewide proposition. We're the only professional sports team of this status in the state. And so for us to create this notion of unifying everyone throughout the entire state, predominantly Tulsa and Oklahoma City, around this team, and to get folks that are predominantly Oklahoma supporters or Oklahoma State supporters to rally around this common thing called the NBA and the Oklahoma City Thunder, it's really a part of our core platform of what we're trying to do. And the social media opportunities, we created a hashtag, We Are Thunder, and that was really driven to create this unification of folks saying that whether you're at the game or whether you're just enjoying the game on television or whether you're just with your friends and family just appreciating what it is to be a Thunder fan, we've tried to consolidate that down to one platform, We Are Thunder, pound We Are Thunder, and unite all the conversations and all the photography and all the things that are happening there so that we can aggregate it and then really recognize the folks that are supporting us and also looking for that from a monetization perspective. So if there's anything different that we're doing in April that we weren't doing in February, it's really rallying behind this notion of We Are Thunder, and it's just an extension of our year-long platform around the notion of rise together and team as one.
And Sheri, you mentioned the Spurs' long tradition of being in the playoffs. You guys really never have a May off, or June for that matter. I would too. Describe how the Spurs do anything differently, if they do at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar for us. We spend a lot of time during the year and really over the past 3 seasons branding Spurs family, which was something that came from our fans. Brian alluded to it. We're the major team in town, and our fans have had a long history with us. We have the best, most loyal fan base in the NBA, I like to say. So they come to us and they come to games, and whenever we interview our season ticket holders, we hear this resonating theme that they feel like they're more than fans, they're family. So we actually incorporate that into all of our branding. And during the playoffs, we don't change that message. We just dial up the intensity on it a little bit. So obviously everything around the family themes, and it's really crucial in the playoffs, home court advantage, and making sure that our fans, get that, feeling of higher level of intensity for the playoffs. And then from a marketing perspective, we're able to utilize it to focus a lot on season tickets, because that's a huge benefit of having your playoff seats if you purchase your season tickets for next season at this point. So we're pushing that message a lot, but then we also have a lot of brand extension messages that the playoffs gives you a little bit of luxury to focus on. So with our broadcast, that's really important to us in the first round. All of our broadcasts are on Fox Sports Southwest for games 2 through 7 of this series. And a lot of our efforts focus on that. And if you can't come to the game because playoff tickets can be harder to come by, we definitely want them to watch our local broadcast on Fox Sports Southwest. So we spend a lot of time promoting that. And again, just whatever we can do to not only promote the Spurs, but here in San Antonio, we have the AHL Rampage and our WNBA Silver Stars team. So Silver Stars are getting ready for WNBA season, and this is a great opportunity for them as well to promote the season starting for Silver Stars through our playoffs. in arena and in our broadcast. So it doesn't stop, and definitely we feel fortunate that we're still going at this point, and it helps drive Spurs and it helps drive our other franchises as well.
And both the Spurs and Thunder are known for their, in-game environments just being crazy and really energetic. And an interesting aspect that a minor league team is introducing to their in-game experience is having new mascots during, their little race with so this is the Durham Bulls that are doing this, and they're playing off the characters from the movie Bull Durham, which is, obviously so iconic within baseball movies and sports movies alike. The Washington Nationals, do this with presidents, and the Brewers do this with sausages. So, what are you guys doing to engage your fans, in arena? Brian, I'll start with you at the Thunder.
Well, I read something about those two examples earlier, and it really kind of resonated with me as really interesting and topical to their environments.
Right.
But I don't know if that's something that resonates to us, particularly right now in the playoffs. I think for us, the in-game experience is really about creating the best environment for the players and coaches to do their jobs and to excel at a high level. If anything, our game presentation, which I appreciate your acknowledgement, we take a lot of pride in our game presentation being very top-notch in terms of its entertainment value. If anything, we're actually dialing it back a little bit in the playoffs. So if there's anything we're doing differently for a playoff game versus a regular season game, is we might be at 80% of our normal activation. And what the other 20% is doing is being more focused on the game. The games are more important now. The games really do have a level of intensity that you don't see in the regular season. And so we're more focused on creating that environment that's about the game and about the result of the game. And we work very closely with our basketball operations department so that they're in tune with that as well. And I think it's a really interesting segue for us from what a normal game situation would look like. So we're not introducing new elements. We don't want anything to be different. We don't want a distraction. If anything, we'd rather minimize some of those things to put more focus on the game experience. When you have a game that's coming down to the wire and you have a hot timeout, and your fans are going crazy and they're all waving their towels or wearing their T-shirts. It's really about the next possession and the next part of the game experience that we're teaching our fans in our market. We're still teaching our fans how important these situations are and to appreciate them for what they are. I think if we were ever to introduce extensions to mascots or extensions to promotions,
right,
we're more likely to do that in a broader form throughout the regular season than to use the playoffs as a testing module for that.
Sheri, how about you with the Spurs?
Yeah, for us, of course, it's definitely the focus is on the team as well. So we are very similar, and of course, with Coach Pop and RC Buford, we make sure that we're cognizant of focusing and doing everything we can to make the environment the best it can be for the players on the court. So, absolutely. I think some ways that we work to kind of make playoffs a little special for the fans, or we just add on some elements. Pre-game, during the playoffs, we're doing a pre-game party that starts about an hour before gates open. We did our first pre-game party on Sunday. It went over very well. A lot of our fans kind of wait. They get here early and they wait in line to get in the arena, so this gives them something else to do, some more entertainment. We have our mascot out there and dancers coming out doing appearances. So we try to add to the pregame element of it so that it feels a little bit more special because it's a playoff game. And then in arena, we have a great video production and creative services team. So our open video changes, little things like that. But yeah, we wouldn't go so far as to introduce new mascots or anything of that nature. We just want everyone to, they're gonna feel it because obviously playoffs are different than the regular season. So we just try to capitalize on that and enhance it a little bit with some of the other things we do.
Yeah, that's interesting that you guys basically have the same philosophy, but with Sheri and the Spurs, kind of adding on that extra fan engagement. So it's interesting to kind of see the differences in strategy, even though they are pretty much the same. But switching gears now to the NFL, they are obviously have their draft on Thursday in prime time, and Tide, which is a sponsor of the NFL, part of Procter & Gamble, They're kind of doing a unique thing this year, as they'll offer an endorsement deal to the first player drafted to each of the 32 NFL teams to celebrate their new colors. So it's kind of a cool idea to have an automatic endorsement for that number one draft pick. While obviously it's not NBA playoff, related, definitely applicable when it comes to marketing. So just wanted to know your thoughts on this partnership and how they're really utilizing the whole color aspect, as I know colors is super important to both of your organizations. Brian, we'll start with you.
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind in that example is that I think Tide's doing a great job of really finding something that's unique and authentic. That, color really is a powerful expression of your logo and your identity. The Spurs will tell you that the black and silver is an important part of their heritage and their history. In fact, they changed the uniforms recently back to their silver and black. And, in our state, the two universities are for a generation or more than that, a century, have been defined by Oklahoma's red and Oklahoma State's orange. And when the Thunder was introduced 5 years ago and the primary color designation was blue, it was intended in lots of ways to mirror the state identity. The state flag is blue, but also to be something that differentiated from those two universities to create a new level of engagement and to create something that could be different. And I think what you're seeing with Tide is they're really tapping into how color is so important to sports teams in terms of fan pride and passion, and how they can really declare their fandom through the use of color. We're all about wear blue and arrive early and be loud. So even in our marketing call to action, we're using color as a statement. So I think that's very powerful, and I applaud Tide for looking for something that was authentic. To connect their brand to those players being introduced to a new uniform, and to really be authentic about their brand. I think it's a really interesting and creative use of what they're trying to accomplish.
Sheri, how about you?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, for me, silver and black's kind of special because I was with the Raiders prior to the Spurs, and I think it's interesting how those colors, and those brands are completely different. But, obviously, we take just as much pride in silver and black here with the Spurs, and even extends it into our minor league teams. Our Rampage are silver and black, and so are the Silver Stars of the WNBA. So it means a lot, definitely, to Brian's point, especially in sports, your color is your identity, and it's what the fans associate themselves with. So whatever that is, for Tide, obviously it works tremendously well for them and their campaign. But I think that's what we always want to do in sports marketing, is take what that piece is and that's important to our brand, and figure out a way to integrate it with the team and the franchise and the players. So it's a unique, creative way for them to do that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Well, thank you both for joining us today, and thank you for joining us at home. And you can tune in for SBN Live on Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Time. Find us all week online at sportsbusinessnow.com and on Twitter at SBNow. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
SBN, Sports Business Now.